The wind pressed through the trees like a warning the morning everything changed. It was the kind of cold, uneasy breeze that makes a tired mother clutch her child a little closer, as if the world could take what little they had left at any moment. Emily Carter sat on a park bench that had long lost most of its paint, holding her daughter Lily on her lap, trying to hide the tremble in her own hands. She had grown used to hiding things, fear, hunger, tears, but nothing prepared her for the soft, heartbreaking moment when Lily looked up at her with innocent, trusting eyes and asked the words that sliced straight through her chest, "Why don't good things happen to us, Mama?" Before you continue, if you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Emily wasn't the kind of woman who gave up easily. She had fought through a divorce she never wanted, through the shameless debts her ex-husband left behind, through 3 jobs that still barely paid enough to cover rent on the rundown apartment they now called home. But nothing broke her like the question Lily had just asked. She felt it like a plea from heaven itself, raw, trembling, and honest. She held Lily's cheeks gently, trying to smile, but her lips refused. Words wouldn't come. Only a tightness in her throat and a sting in her eyes. A few feet away, a man was walking by, hands buried in the pockets of a worn olive jacket. He hadn't meant to overhear. He wasn't a man who usually involved himself in other people's lives, having spent years minding his own world of silent regrets and unfinished apologies. But something about the way the child leaned into her mother, and the exhausted way the mother clung back, made him pause in his steps. His name was Daniel Hayes, and though neither mother nor daughter knew it yet, his simple decision to stop walking would shift the entire course of their lives. Emily didn't notice him at first. Her head was bowed, her hands cupping Lily's trembling shoulders. The bench beneath her seemed colder than the air around her. She tried to answer her daughter, searching for something, anything, that sounded hopeful. But all she could think of was the eviction notice waiting on her kitchen counter, giving her 10 days to come up with more money than she had seen in months. She thought about the empty pantry, the broken heater, the medical bill she still hadn't opened. She wanted to tell Lily that good things were coming, but even she couldn't hear that lie anymore. Daniel turned his head slightly, pretending to check his phone, but he wasn't looking at the screen. He was listening. He shouldn't have been, he knew that. But there was a desperate honesty in the child's voice, a softness that reminded him of the little sister he used to protect before life split their family apart. He felt a familiar ache rise in him, one he tried to bury under years of distraction. He told himself to keep walking. That their pain wasn't his to fix. That strangers weren't meant to interfere in each other's storms. But he didn't walk away. Emily began explaining gently, stumbling over words she wished she didn't have to say. She told Lily that life had seasons and sometimes they were stuck in a long winter, but winter wouldn't last forever. She said that good things did happen, just slowly, just quietly, just someday. Lily listened carefully, nodding, but even at 6 years old, she could sense the hesitation in her mother's voice. She wrapped her small arms around Emily's neck and buried her face against her. Emily's shoulders shook as she held her daughter tightly. Daniel took a slow breath. He could almost feel his own heart sitting too high in his chest. Something urged him, an instinct, a memory, maybe God himself, to turn around. And he did. He walked back toward the bench, unsure exactly what he meant to say. Emily noticed him then. She tensed immediately, pulling Lily closer. Daniel raised his hand slightly in a gesture of peace, stopping a few feet away, careful not to intrude. He apologized softly for overhearing. His voice was calm but carried a certain heaviness, the kind that comes from someone who's walked through his own shadows. He said he wasn't trying to bother them, only that sometimes good things happen in unexpected ways, and sometimes people cross paths for reasons none of them can see yet. Emily wasn't sure how to respond. She didn't know this man. She didn't trust easily anymore. But something in Daniel's face felt sincere, almost painfully so. His eyes held no pity, only understanding. Lily peeked up at him curiously, sensing no danger. Daniel hesitated before asking if everything was okay. Emily almost laughed, an exhausted, bitter sort of laugh, but she swallowed it back. She didn't want charity. She didn't want sympathy. She just wanted things to stop falling apart. She told him that life had simply been unkind lately. That she was doing her best with what she had. That she just needed things to stop getting worse. The man nodded quietly. He didn't push her to explain more. He didn't offer false hope or empty advice. Instead, he said something Emily would remember for the rest of her life, that sometimes the bravest thing a person could do was keep going when nothing made sense. That doing her best was enough, even when it didn't feel like it. That storms didn't choose who to break, but they did reveal who could rise after being broken. Emily felt her throat tighten again, but this time for a different reason. It wasn't pity she heard in his voice, it was respect. Lily tugged lightly on Emily's sleeve and whispered that the man seemed kind. Emily looked at Daniel again and saw something familiar in him, something that felt like a person who had once been lost and found his way back only by holding on to small, fragile moments of grace. The three of them stood or sat in a quiet stillness for a moment, the kind that carries weight without needing words. The park around them seemed to soften. Children played in the distance. Leaves rustled overhead. Someone laughed far away. And there, in that small circle of humanity, something began to shift. Daniel asked if Lily liked hot chocolate. Her eyes brightened immediately, a tiny spark of joy flashing through them. Emily opened her mouth to decline politely, they couldn't accept anything from strangers, but Daniel quickly reassured her he wasn't offering charity. He said everyone deserved warmth now and then, and he'd be honored to share a cup with them. After a moment's hesitation, Emily agreed, partly because of the sincerity in his tone, and partly because she hadn't seen Lily smile in days. They walked together toward a small cafe nearby. It wasn't crowded. The lights were warm. The smell of baked bread filled the air. Lily pressed her face against the glass display case, mesmerized by pastries she knew they couldn't afford. Daniel smiled and ordered 2 hot chocolates and a cookie shaped like a star. Lily gasped in delight when he handed it to her. Emily started to protest, but Daniel insisted softly, saying a little sweetness never hurt anyone. As they sat at a corner table, the world outside continued rushing forward, but time inside the cafe seemed to slow. Lily chatted happily between sips, leaving a little foam mustache above her lip that made Emily chuckle despite herself. Daniel asked her questions about school, about her favorite color, about the little pink hoodie she wore. Lily answered with the animated honesty only children carry, and Daniel listened as if every word mattered. Emily observed Daniel quietly. She noticed how gentle he was with Lily, how careful he was with his words, how he never once looked at Emily with judgment. She wondered what kind of pain lived behind his calm expression. She wondered what had brought him to that park bench at that exact moment. Daniel noticed Emily watching him. He finally shared that he once had a family too, a sister he should have protected better, parents he should have called more often, mistakes he wished he could undo. Life, he said, had humbled him over the years. It taught him that small acts done at the right time could change everything, even if they seemed ordinary. Emily felt her chest soften. She didn't ask for details. She didn't need them. She only nodded with quiet understanding. The conversation drifted gently, like a river finding its path. Daniel asked if Emily had support, family, friends, anyone. She shook her head. Life had scattered the people she once relied on. She was trying to rebuild, but each time she gathered a few stones, the ground seemed to shift again. Daniel hesitated before offering her something unexpected. Not money. Not charity. But an opportunity. He mentioned that he managed a local construction supply warehouse and they were in desperate need of administrative help. Flexible hours. Stable pay. Room to grow. He said she didn't have to accept or decide now, he just wanted her to know it was there. Emily's breath caught. She hadn't had a real chance in months. Every opportunity she applied for slipped away before she even got the interview. She asked if he was serious. Daniel nodded solemnly. He told her he believed in people who kept fighting even when the world didn't notice. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt something warm push against the cold weight in her chest, hope. Lily sensed the change in her mother and hugged her tightly. Daniel watched them quietly, feeling something in him soften too. Hours later, when they finally left the cafe, the sky was beginning to